Well, 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 well. Look who's back. Back again. Guess who's back? Tell a friend.
Yeah.
Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Hello, everyone. Edgy Tim, along with the man, the myth, the legend, Matt Leng, where people literally now pull him aside and just hand him like pork tenderloin sandwiches and stuff. It's unbelievable. The
I don't think I need
popularity
any
of
more
one
pork
Matt.
tenderloin sandwiches.
So, pal, welcome back. Welcome to another year of Third and Lang, our 27th year of doing this podcast. It feels that way anyway. Glad things are well. Glad you're still doing well.
Yeah.
You're out of probation. You're out of. I mean, I'm joking, but great to see you. Great to be back to talk another year. We haven't talked for a while, and I kind of did that on purpose a little bit because I just wanted to come back and hit it running when we truly had some stuff to talk about. The last thing I want to do is have to kind of stretch things out and I'm fired up. I'm ready to go. I know you've been fired up since like 2 days after the state finals, but just welcome back and let's go another year.
Yeah. And I think how you kind of stated it there, Tim, I think is really good because when you watch television, your ESPNs and your all these announcers and everything, they're all bored. They're all ready to go. They're all ripping and just ready to go. They're like a time bomb. And I know down here, I always try to refer things to, what's local. And, the big local story down here is, our college football program is now, at a national level. And there's a lot of people ready to go to this game Friday night, even though it's against Western Illinois. But I'm kind of glad we haven't talked because it's kind of saved a little bit of the suspense and stuff. And we can kind of gear up because it's come out of nowhere. The summer went by fast. June and July just went by so fast. Once we hit the 4th of July, it's downhill. And, you ask any of the coaches, it's gone by fast. And I think, it's been a neat summer because we've had some really, really hot temperatures down here. And now it's absolutely beautiful. And it's ready for just a wonderful Friday night that we're going to have in store. And temperatures will be down in the 60s, maybe 50s. And it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful way to, to kickstart the season.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the weather. There's this kind of like a terrible summer, like really hot, really humid. And all of a sudden, Matt, within the last week, it's like Mother Nature just came in and flipped that wand and boom, fall weather. Well, not quite fall weather, but getting closer to fall.
But I can see something. I can see the weather coming back and being hot again. And if it gets in the upper 80s and the heat index feels like it's 90s, that's a shock to the system. But I mean, I would compare this heat that we've had this summer to some 1980s heat when we had the drought, the legendary droughts in the 80s, and we didn't get rain for like 4 months and stuff. And there was some really, really nasty, sticky, humid days. And, people had to be kind of careful in terms of how they did their practices, their contact days. And it led into the first week of practice a little bit. And I talked to some guys on how they did that. And that's interesting to talk about, too, if you want to talk about that in terms of the strategy of how you keep kids' attention span locked in for 3 hours. I mean, how are you going to do that? Are you going to do 2.5 hours with some water breaks? Or are you going to do an hour and a half in the morning, hour and a half at night? And so it was nice. It's nice to talk to some coaches, and they shared that information with me too.
So one of the things I want to hit early this year, and what you just brought up is great because it leads right into what I want to get into. Maybe in the next week or two, I want to have a coach or two back on, and I want to talk about exactly what you discussed about keeping attention spans. I also want to talk to them about 25 to 20 contact days.
Yep.
And how they managed that. And the other aspect now, at least up here, it's been kind of a revelation this year compared to the first year they were able to do it. Matt, we had a ton of 11-on-11 scrimmages up here all summer long. It was amazing how quickly that kind of turned around this year. Like all of a sudden, everyone up here was doing 11 on 11. And I think, unfortunately, in some regards, it's killing teams doing 7 on 7. They'd rather do the 11 on 11. I can't say I blame them.
Yeah. And I think like you can modify that, which I think guys like to, they used to modify that a long time ago, probably when we couldn't modify things. And that was, go 8 on 8 or 9 on 9 inside run thud. And I think that's more important in terms of that physicality, because
Right.
everybody has their week 0 game that they're getting to. And let's face it, no one really wants to hit in practice. However, they have to get some sort of hitting in. So they have to do a little bit of hitting in summer to get ready for week 0, because when they go to week 0, that's going to be modified and shortened to 8 plays. Everybody does 8 or 10 or whatever, and then do some contact drills and then get the heck out of there, and make sure no one gets hurt. And so it is interesting how that's changed a little bit. And, I haven't heard too many complaints about the 25 to 20. I think it's half and half in terms of whether people like it or people don't like it.
I find it interesting and would love to know how and if they change their approach to something because of it.
Yeah.
So we'll get into that for sure. One of many subjects we'll come across. Do you want to do rankings first, or do you want to do storylines first? Let's do storylines, I guess.
Storylines, sure. Yeah.
All right. So the first thing we talked about, Matt, and something that we need to cover because it certainly is going to have an impact on smaller class football, are what's the best way to phrase this? The implementation of the success factor for Catholic schools, meaning last year, Matt, we watched 1A Belleville Altoff win a state title, roll away with a state title. In 3A, we saw Montini Catholic win a state title. 4A, we saw DePaul Prep win a state title. You see where I'm going here, right?
Oh, yeah, sure.
5A, NAS won their 100th state title, it seems like. So, again, you had all these Catholic schools that were, for various reasons, in smaller classes. That all changes in 2025.
Yeah.
Altoff goes from 1A to 3A. There are some others here that are pretty immediate changes here. Altoff, as I mentioned, goes to 3A. You have DePaul Prep, who was in 4. Now, Matt, they're going to go from 4 to probably 7, and there's an outside chance they can go to 8A. Now, there's a change for you. There's a major change there. So they are getting moved up. You're also going to see Nazareth Academy go from 5 to 6. Joliet Catholic go from 5 to 6. You have Mount Carmel in 7 go to 8. Now, why does small school football care about Mount Carmel? They really don't, but they kind of should in this scenario, because every team that gets moved up, someone gets moved down.
Yeah.
That is going to impact the classes and the playoff classes, Matt, considerably this time around. And I think in some cases, in several cases possibly, you're going to see some schools definitely benefit from those schools getting moved up. Another thing to watch, and I know it's 6A, but this is something we haven't seen a lot of, but I have a feeling we could see more of it this year. East St. Louis, everybody knows. Enrollment-wise, they're 5. Generally, they moved up to 6. Well, and I'll give credit to Steve Susi on this one. As of today being Wednesday, the 27th of August. As far as we know, as far as we've been told, they have not contacted the IHSA yet to put in their request to be moved up to 6. So think about that. If they would stay in 5, the impact there. Batavia is one of those schools that has had an enrollment dip, and we're going to get into enrollments in a little bit. So they're right now sitting at 6A, but they've already publicly said they're going to move up to 7. You've got a couple of pretty prominent programs right now in 6A, not named East St. Louis. There's a lot of rumors going around that those schools could volunteer to move up to 7A. Matt, why do you think all these 6A want to get out of 6A? What do you think?
Well, I mean, if you were, I mean, if this is all about competition. This is all about trying to feel like it's a level playing field. If you were to ask us Southern folk down here, kind of what we think, I mean, it really is kind of a. I don't want to make this into a volatile position or adversarial conversation, but people are always going to say it's the haves and the have-nots, and you need to balance this out, and this and that, whatever. I will tell you that I think this, after the football season ended, and then we start watching that orange thing bounce up and down, we all got a little bit of a glimpse of it in the state basketball tournament. Because guess who's down there in the state basketball tournament once again? DePaul. Yeah. And everybody's sitting there going, wow, they're in 3A, and they're still great. What does Coach Kleinschmidt do? It's like he just coaches his guys up. And even today, there's an article about Peoria Manual and how they want to move up for basketball. So this is a big spectrum and philosophical thing that just kind of has continued to move on and on and on. And I don't know if we necessarily have an answer for it.
So the point being, and the reason why I brought this up, and again, I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this, we're going to wrap it up, but one of the main storylines that are no question going to have an impact on all classes, no doubt in my mind. The movement, when someone moves up, someone gets pushed down, vice versa. Someone moves down, somebody else gets pushed up. It's definitely going to change the look of different classes, multiple classes, a different look, a different feel. We'll see how it shakes out.
It'll come with little jolts too, because on the southwest side of the state in 1A, if Belleville moves up, that opens the path up for some other teams. And it is what it is, and you could go up and down the state, and it's going to do that. I mean, the great collision course between Byron and Montini, probably not going to happen, in this year. I mean, if Montini goes 4A, so
they're going to be in 4, so it's not going to happen. So, yeah, but how about Althoff taking their place? That makes it interesting.
Yeah.
So there you go.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's going to be, and remember this date, folks, September 1st. That is when we will find out from IHSA actually which schools have chosen to move up in class. So we'll know more after.
And another one of those schools that was in that basketball tournament was Belleville Althoff, and they had a really good point guard. He's now playing at the University of Oregon as running back.
So. As a running back, yeah, yeah, no doubt about it. So again, that'll be a main storyline for sure. And Dan, I know you want to talk about enrollments. There seem to be a little bit of a dip in some places enrollment-wise.
Well, I mean, again, I'm just going to steal the term that Toby Vallis from Farmington would say. You have eroding population pockets in areas over here. So, what has that done? We've had a little bit of a shift in terms of what's happened with 8-man and 11-man. We have now we have 30 teams in 8-man. We had the addition of Macon Meridian. We lost Danville Schlarman. And in terms of these eroding population pockets in certain parts of the state, it just does have a little bit of an impact on some schools. So a school close to my heart, Fisher High School, Fisher Bunnies, they have about 30 kids out. They will eventually get out of the Heart of Illinois Conference. It's an expanded conference now, and they'll be moving on and going playing down south against teams like Arcola and stuff down there. But, Mahomet Seymour, that's just 15 minutes up the road from Champaign, Illinois, and they have 140 kids out for football. So, I think these eroding population pockets, let's just say it how it is. I mean, I won't say the coach's name, but he coaches right up there for the Mahomet Seymour Bulldogs, and he said it the best. He's like, why do parents move? Why do kids move? Why do students move? They want to be a part of the winner. I mean, sometimes you do that. If you can do that, you do that. I mean, and like Mahomet Seymour is living proof of that. Dunlap, Illinois is another living proof. Same with Washington. Those teams over there that are 4A, 5A schools, they have 150 plus kids out for football. But those eroding population pockets over there, like Lewistown, Havana, they're going to struggle a little bit, and they're going to have to go the co-op route.
you mentioned transfers. And transfers is becoming, I mean, it's kind of always been a hot button issue, but it's really started to become a hot button issue up here in bigger enrollment in the suburban area.
Yeah.
Man, it's everywhere. It's no longer public to private or private to public. Yeah, that's still going on plenty. You're seeing public to public. You're seeing parents get up and move into a different district for what you just said. They want to play for a winner. They want to go to a program where their kid is going to get exposure and their kid is going to get more looks and everything else. Matt, we're in the era of NIL, and parents and kids, they see those dollar signs that are coming out of college, and they all want in. And Matt, man, it's a dangerous path to go down, but that's where we're at right now. And I mean, it's gotten to the point where, I have this free message board on my website, and people just cannot help themselves to start talking about kids and transfers. I just can't even tolerate it anymore. I mean, it's just something that craws at me, that it's like, it's a family's decision, Matt. It's if a family wants to pick up and move and go somewhere else, it's their choice. And that's
Go
ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, I can kind of compare it to.
Let me throw this out. Here's where we're at. So everyone wants a solution. How do you solve this? How do you fix this? Matt, I don't think you do. I don't think you can.
No.
Because every time our state association is going to attempt to put a rule in place, especially when it comes to transfers and school choice, you bring up transfers and you bring up legal action, and it's over.
Yeah.
It's over. It's it. So I don't think, from a rule standpoint, I mean, I don't know, do you put in a one-time free pass and everybody can transfer once? But then what do you do if it's more than once?
I don't think it's relevant enough.
There's always exceptions to the rule, Matt, whether it's legit or not. I just don't see a real good end of where this thing's going. I'm sorry.
I agree with you. And I don't think there is anything you can really do about it, because I think what it comes down to is, like, if people have that right and people have that, let's just call it how it is. If they have that extra income, they want to do something that they feel is better for their kid, they can do that. Now, I'll just flip.
Is someone going to tell you, or someone's going to tell you what to do with your son?
Yeah, no. And I'll give you two examples. Number one, I work at a driver's ed driving school now. 15 years ago, when I was at driver's ed, when I would go to a driver's ed workshop, we would be in these driver ed workshops, and we were basically told, hey, everybody pick up your game, be a better ethical, better teacher behind the wheel. Why? Because kids are leaving to go to the driver ed schools. Well, now, and that was kind of looked at kind of side-eye, kind of like, well, they're going to a driver ed school. Now, these kids have to go to the driver ed school because there's not a lot of teachers that are teaching driver's ed. And if mom and dad have a little bit of disposable income, they're going to get that done. Okay. So that's kind of a completely different story. Okay. But I have a friend, and he literally had a conversation with his son, and his son came up to him and said, Dad, I don't think I really want to play or go to school here this year. There's not going to be very many kids out for football or basketball. And this kid had an opportunity. He needed to be somewhere so he could get some eyeballs on him, so he could, possibly get a scholarship. And he ended up doing that. He ended up, transferring down to Mount Zion, going down there, playing basketball, playing baseball. And it ended up helping him. He ended up getting a scholarship. He's playing JUCO baseball. I mean, I'm just saying those things are presented. And so what are we getting at? If you have that platform to do that, and you can do that, and you're not breaking any rules, and the legalization of this is fine, and you have the proper, you're inside that community, then I think you have that opportunity to do that, if that's going to better your family and better the decision making.
Yep. Yeah, it's boy, we literally could do a whole show and not even scratch the surface on that whole issue. But it's something we need to talk about because it continues to be a hot button issue. There is no question about it. Um, as far as other storylines are concerned,
Yeah, I got a couple things. I mean,
go ahead.
what were you gonna
Yeah, fire away.
Well, I was just going to say, like, I'm looking forward to listening to your radio show and learning more about the big name players.
Tomorrow night,
all the,
Thursday night, 6 to 8, WJOL.
to all the outsiders out there that don't know about my connection with Tim, I can remember when this guy had a cartoon figure in the Chicago Sun-Times, and he was, writing about players and in the newspaper, and now, that's a curiosity for everybody. Everybody wants to know where kids are going, and one of the things Illinois football's done pretty good, they're getting better, as they're starting to kind of keep a few kids here in state. Now, we're not talking college football here today, but we do have some, I think some big name players down here. Couple of them are from St. Joe Ogden. Tim Blackburn Kelly is a wide receiver, real good athlete. Cam Wagner, a gigantic, huge tackle. We'll have several offers on the table.
Yeah, he's a national. He's a Power 4 kid already.
Dane Eisenberger from Tolono Unity is a quarterback. He'll be playing this year for Coach Tony Reeds, who ended up replacing Scott Hamill, who retired. And then, so I think players are always fun. I always like to kind of refer back to the coaches. We've got a lot of great coaches down here, just like you do up there, Tim, and we got our Pete Carroll group down here of older guys that have been here forever, like Coley Walter and Guy Goodlove.
Is that the guy you were talking about before?
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Look at that. I saw that, and I was like, who the heck is that guy?
Yeah.
That's when I had 2 study halls, and I go to the library.
Nice.
A big picture, a big storyline is Mark Ramsey. He came out of retirement. He's going to be at Pena, and he's taking over down there. So in our Pete Carroll group of older coaches, you have, like I said, Guy Goodlove, Rick Aarons, Coley Walter, Mark Dodd, Mark Ramsey. The Lane Kiffin group, I kind of call them the outlaws, guys that got a little bit of an edge. There's a couple guys, Josh Joseph and Josh Roop, at Maroa and Tri-Valley, respectfully. Jason Bachman over there, Eureka, has a team that you could watch out for that might have some noise. And then Josh Pritchard and Ryan Knox at Paxton, Buckley, Loda, and Athens. And then I got the Kirby Smart group, guys that are just complete grinders. They just get after it, and they just work so hard. And that'd be your Andy Romines, Eric Lyons over there at Olympia. Rick Little, that's not my cup of tea. That's 7A, 8A Quincy football, but he's a grinder, man. He works really hard. And Brad Dixon over there, on the western side of the state, continue to do great things. So it's going to be neat to kind of talk about these guys. And then other programs are going to be coming up through the ranks. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So again, just some storylines, and I'm sure those will change, and we'll have some more things pop up. I know we're going to talk about referees and referee shortage because I'm already hearing about it. Ironically, though, I'm hearing about referee shortages, but the little burst we had there a year or two ago about schools talking about playing on Thursdays.
Yeah.
Not really happening.
No.
Outside of the Chicago Public League, and there's a handful of games. I know East St. Louis is playing in Jersey, I think.
Yeah.
They're playing Bergen Catholic, which is out of New Jersey, I believe. Yeah. That's tomorrow night. There's a couple others, but outside of that, it hasn't changed. But the ref shortage is going to continue to impact everybody.
One quick thing I want to say is, sometimes with the numbers and the kids not going out for football, like, why do kids not go out for football? Okay, well, let's just call it how it is. There's more options for kids to do nowadays. There's things for kids to do. And it's hard work. Not everybody wants to work hard. I'm not here to run kids down. If they don't want to play football, they don't want to play football. But there are more options. And one option there are for female students is flag football. And that is taking off, and that is huge.
I'm going to go there. Yep.
And I'm telling you right now, and I'm not making fun of Muhammad Seymour. They're doing all sorts of building over there. They're making Starbucks, everything. They just build. But Adam Schoonover, the basketball coach for boys basketball, is now the girls football coach
Hey,
for.
it's opportunity.
It's great.
A lot of
And
opportunity.
you get it. Again, I'm not going to describe. I think our viewers know there's a difference between a Muhammad Seymour and then you go over to the western side of the state or the eastern side of the state and Danville High School. But Danville has a boatload of ladies out for football too on their brand new playing surface. And
I gotta go.
great.
I gotta
It's
go.
wonderful. It's wonderful.
I gotta go to a game there at Danville. I spent so much time there at that, and I love that field. I love the old field, right next to the school, and you kind of had it, right the layout and everything.
Lodge.
But oh my God! Oh my God! All the mud games I saw there over the years, just to not see mud there anymore.
It's not that way anymore.
No. You mentioned flag football. I'm glad you did because, man, it's going to be huge. I mean, it really is going to be huge. They had a huge spike already in 1 year. Give you an example. So, the Woody Dog, which, by the way, I'm going to introduce the Woody Dog one of these days. We're going to bring him up here and let everybody say hello to him. Take him. We walk twice a day. There's a park near my house, nice park district facility, nice walking track. So I take him out there, and he goes and barks at everybody. And so we're out there in the summer, and this dog, Matt, will want to go for a walk, whether it's 100 or 20 below. He don't care. He wants to go for his walk. That's what he loves to do. So it was one of the hot days of July, and I'm walking the dog, and I think it was a dead period. So everybody was in a dead period. Even girls flag football was in a dead period. I go out to the park about 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning. There's a group of like 15 girls throwing a football around. I'm like, haven't seen this before.
Yeah.
All of them from Minooka High School, all of them just kind of getting into it and excited and playing catch, and good for them, man. Just, you know what? That's awesome. I know Minooka they're well over 100 girls. They're probably, Minooka, they're probably close to 200 girls in that program. And it's going to be big, Matt. I'm telling you.
They've made some changes, Tim. Today they made some changes. I read this on the IHSA. One of the changes they made was within the 5-yard line. You can now run the ball within the 5-yard line, where it used to be you had to pass the ball within the 5-yard line, or there was some sort of stipulation there. They've changed that. They've kind of, I don't know, just increased the competition factor, or I don't want to say toughen it up, but they just kind of tighten the bolts up a little bit and some of the rules. And the bottom line is, it doesn't matter, really what sports you're doing. More schools now than ever have good weight rooms, good fitness programs. Kids are stronger. They're more athletic. And let's just call it out. It's the big pink elephant in the room. Everybody, and I mean everybody, is waiting for our football to start this Friday and this Saturday. And then next Sunday, it's Merry Christmas and we have the NFL. So everybody likes this sport, and now it's accessible to everybody.
If anything, it's a very simplistic way of looking at this. All you're doing with girls flag football are creating more football fans.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Believe me, nothing wrong with that. The more the merrier. Be a part of it. Join it.
Hey,
now they know how great it is.
And here's the deal. I think with the engagement news, I think there's even more football fans. You know what I'm saying?
My daughter? Oh,
no. The tight end and the singer got engaged. There's even more. So it's just like, we have a good sport. We have a great platform, and we have protection for these kids, because now you go to the 7-on-7s, and they got the skull caps, they got the mouthpieces. People are ready to get after it.
Yeah. And by the way, the only people more excited about girls flag football than the girls are the various position coaches across the state, quarterback coaches in particular. It's a whole new clientele that they have to go work, that they can go work with.
Hey, that's great.
It's big stuff.
If that's
really
my wheelhouse, I'm thinking, hey.
I know. A couple of the guys up here. I believe it's QB Elite, which is Preston. I can't think of his partner's name. Their group plus Greg Holcomb from Next Level, they're working with girls now on a regular basis, working with lady quarterbacks and receivers. So that's going to continue. All right, we're off of that. Let's go through rankings. As usual, I'm going to stick to this year because they're great people, great guys.
Hey, real quick, Tim. The one thing though I think we forget is there's a thing called the NFL, and they're involved in that flag. Then that's the flag football.
Big time.
They're donating exactly
A lot of money.
A lot of money.
NFL donating a lot of money and time and resources to them to get them going, which is awesome. We'll go through the ranking. One thing I want to get clarified. If you want more on this, go to Between the Lines podcast to do with Mike Clark. Mike Clark talked about AP polls and what has been going on with the Associated Press. Kind of sad. I mean, AP, a couple of the lead people that were in charge of making sure the polls came out every week and they were done, passed away. So they were scrambling last year just to get polls up and operational. Now this year, it's Wednesday night. AP polls for preseason are already out, so congrats to them. But Mike Clark talked about it and said it's been a struggle. They're still looking for people, and I'm going to guess Central Southern Illinois in particular, writers to get involved to be part of the AP polls. Now, part of the problem Mike talks about on the podcast, one of the largest newspaper group, Gannett, is not allowing their writers to take part in AP. So that doesn't help. But AP's coming along. I know Mike's putting a lot of time and effort into it, and that's typical Mike Clark. He's always getting involved in stuff in a positive way.
Sure.
They'll get going. They'll get things lined up. But, you just got to give them a little while. There's obviously they're trying to get new people in charge and get things going. But they'll be getting going. But in the meantime, hey, I'm sticking with our guys from NUIC football, Kyle and everybody. They do a great job, and what I love about their stuff is that these guys see these teams. AP, I'll be honest, I don't know how many of these guys are seeing these teams and really getting into it. That's why I always give Kyle and those guys a ton of credit. View from the West as well. They're out there every weekend. They're out there every Friday and Saturday seeing teams. So I'll definitely stick with their polls. So let's go through it, Matt. We'll start in – where do you want – you want to go 8-man? Where do you want to go? What do you want to start with?
Wherever you want to go. If you want to go from the big boys and bring it down, we can do that.
All right. As I mentioned, I'm going to start with 3A. 4A is AP, and I'll pull that up once I'm done talking here. We'll start with 3A. So 3A, NUIC preseason top 10 in 3A. Byron 1, IC Catholic at 2, Althoff at 3, Wilmington 4, Monticello 5, Tolono 6, Princeton 7, St. Joe Ogden 8, Chicago Christian, as we mentioned, another Catholic school moved up. They are at number 9 in 3A. And number 10 is Williamsville in 3A. Matt, thoughts on NUIC's top 10 in 3A?
A lot of heavy hitters. You got the big W's in there. You got Williamsville and Wilmington. It's just running the football really makes a difference, and you got a lot of teams in there that know how to run the football. I look at that, and from east to west, north to south, you got great coaches. It's gonna be really interesting, man. I think Tolono Unity, could have a really, really good shot to make a run, in year one without Scott Hamilton. He left everything fully intact. I had a good conversation with him this summer at a Casey's where we were doing a donut run, and he's more than happy to be retired. I think he's going to miss it, but I'm telling you right now, that'll be I'd like to be there for the 50-50 with St. Joe and Tolono Unity, because that's going to be a lot of people. Hatfields and McCoys don't like one another. Who are some of the other teams that you mentioned there, Tim?
One team in particular, and I'm going to mention them. They play, I think, one of the more interesting games on Friday. Wilmington at number 4. They are on the road at Morris, and that is a game with about 10, 15 miles separating both. They play each other a lot in other sports. I don't know if they've ever played each other in football, man.
No,
honestly,
that'll be
a lot of family connections, a lot of ties. Jeff Reentz is a Morris grad. A lot of connections in that game. That'll be a really interesting game to see the results.
Very physical game.
On that one. I almost went to that one, Matt. Very, very close. Almost.
So you wonder
almost,
back in the day with Dan Darlington if he ever had one of those games against Wilmington.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
They've gone back and looked at the records. No, I don't think they've really ever faced off in football. So
You might want to get your popcorn and your pop ready because after the coin toss, it could move rather quickly. There you go.
Good. All right, let's do 4A. I've got 4A AP, and again, this is AP in Class 4A. We'll fire off their 4A class. All right, number 1 is Montini. So there you go. Your 3A defending state champ getting success factored up to 4A. They're the preseason number 1 according to AP and 4A. Rochester at 2, Mount Zion at 3, Cole City at 4, Morris at 5, Sacred Heart at 6, Breeze Central at 7, Dixon at 8, and then tied at number 10 is Metamora and Highland. Others receiving votes, Quincy, Notre Dame, Benton, Cahokia, Rochelle, Rockford Boylan, Murfreesboro, Carterville, Centralia. There's a whole bunch. Waterloo, Geneseo, Macomb. Anything kind of jump out at you there at all, sir?
Well, I mean, I think Dixon is a team to watch out for. You know, they've been on the doorstep. I know I talked to Jeff Boyer today. He is very aware of them. That will be a nemesis in that conference with Jeff.
I was at the game last year. It was a great matchup. Loved that. One of the most fun atmospheres I had all year. No doubt. Love that trip.
I think, too, you know, again, let's see how things kind of unfold. You know, like, is Montini going to be up there at the top of the rankings? I would just say probably not because they're probably going to get beat a couple times because they're in a big boy conference.
100%.
But, you know, you look at that, can Breeze Central kind of recapture kind of what they had there? You know, they were really good, and then they kind of stubbed their toe in the playoff. There was a team that kind of thought they were going to go all the way. And it'd be interesting, too, to see with the Nick 10, you know, with how Rockford Boylan, you know, they always kind of pounce on the doorstep. There was another team that you mentioned there earlier. I don't have the list in front of me. Go ahead.
Well, you've got Rochester at 2, Mount Zion at 3. So again, Mount Zion brings back J.C. Anderson. They bring back Kelly Stocker. They bring back Jake Harvey. So they've got some key kids back from a year ago. Cole City Morris. I mean, Cole City came within a touchdown of DePaul Prep last year in the semis. Forget that.
I was just saying with Rochester. Rochester's has added on to their facilities. You know,
finally,
Rochester is. I drive down there every Friday, and it's really just a kind of a town on the side of the road. And you know, if this is call it how it is. If it wasn't for Derek Leonard in the football program, you literally wouldn't even blink twice or think twice. And not that it's been a big storyline, and we don't really need to go into it, but you know, Rochester kind of, you know, they stubbed their toe a little bit. They lost in the playoff there. You know, had a couple other little issues, but they've ironed that out, and that'll be really interesting to see if Derek can kind of get that going again.
Human? Are you telling us they're human?
They are human, and let's see what SHG can do in their second year. You know, with a brand new.
I'm real interested. Yeah, I'm real interested to see how things turn around for John Allison. Great guy, really good coach, and I think it's just a matter of time. I mean, look. You're replacing a legend, man. There's nothing easy about that at all. So again, I'm really interested to see what happens with Sacred
And
Heart.
I'll say this too, Tim. I mean, last year in the state championship game, you know, J.C. Anderson was not healthy. He wasn't anywhere close to being healthy. And just his mere presence and length. I mean, he's got like a wingspan of like a gazillion yards. There's a reason he's going to Alabama. Be really interesting to see how he does. He has the weight of the world off of his shoulders, and now he can just kind of play football.
Max Sutter going to Alabama, J.C. Anderson going to Ole Miss.
Ole Miss, sorry.
That's what I'm here for, brother. I got you.
I know. You fixed my mistakes. But
as far
all those kids that have that decision, they don't have to worry about this year. They can just play football.
So as far as the others, quickly, I mean, Quincy, Notre Dame. I mean, look, you got Jack Cornell coaching. They're always going to be good. There's no doubt about it. Rochelle, I think, could be a nice surprise team here this year. I just love the Hubs. I love the program. I love their style of play. They can be an interesting team coming out of there as well. So there you go. So that is 4A. We did 3A. So let's go into 2A. Again, the 2A top 10 according to NUIC. Maroa at 2. Boy, there's a shocker. Maroa at 1. Tri-Valley at 2. Paxton Buckley Yoda at 3. Rockridge 4. Farmington 5. Johnston City at 6. Nashville 7. Eastland Pearl City at 8. Seneca at 9. And Bismarck Henning at 10. Matt, what are you doing? It sounds like you're doing something back there.
That was the fan was on me, so I had to turn the fan down so I can hear you a little bit. So
thoughts on 2A?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great class again. It always is. Maroa with Lane Kiffin, the Lane Kiffin of coaching, Josh Joseph. I want to go back to that Rochelle team that you're talking about. They have an interesting matchup in week 4.
Yeah, how about yep. That might be my game of the week, Valley. I'm thinking hard about that one.
We'll talk about that later. Bismarck.
So Rochelle and Lena is what you're talking about, right?
Bismarck Henning again. Bismarck Henning again with Coach Dodd. You have just a great run attack, but he does a lot of window dressing, a lot of formation shifts. That's an element that he's added. They do really, really well there. And I would just say Sam Graves over at Rockridge always just continues to kind of just push that success level up. Rockridge is good in everything. Girls softball, boys basketball, and football. Every year they're in the second, third round. So I think it should be really interesting. What other teams did you have in there, Tim?
As far as 2A is concerned, Paxton Buckley Loda at 3, Rockridge 4, Farmington Farmers at 5, Johnson City 6, Nashville 7.
Paxton Buckley Loda's got some players. Pritchard does a great job there. He likes to spread you out and run ISO and lead and power. And then Toby Vallis, I talked to him today. Thank you very much, Toby, for getting back to me. He's got about 80 kids out. So their numbers are actually kind of down a little bit, but Toby does a great job. The wheelwright kid is not going to be there this year playing quarterback for him, but, Toby does a great job of reloading. He's got a good offensive mind and should be a lot of fun.
No doubt about it. All right, let's move on. We will go to Class 1A. And again, this is the top 10 in Class 1A according to NUIC football. Go visit them on the X machine, if you will. So, number 1, Lena Winslow. Shocker. Number 2, shocker, Cape Point Central. Number 3, Stockton. We're going to talk a little bit about Stockton. The boys out in the western part of the state, a little excited about your Stockton football team there. So, number 3, Stockton, Gibson City, Melvin Sibley at 4, KZ Westfield at 5, New Central Catholic at 6, Galena at 7, Calhoun at 8, Leroy at 9, and White, my friend, caps off the top 10 at number 10. 1A, what do you like there, pal?
Well, I think Leroy is an interesting team. They've gone to that option offense, that midline triple offense, and they're replacing everybody. But they are really, really, really liking their work ethic, great team togetherness. Coach Zelesnik does a great job. I tell you right now, I think Gibson City is the team to beat in the HOIC. Chad Augsburger has just done a great job. It's going to be really interesting to see kind of how they do there. And then, everybody's talking about Stockton football. It's kind of the hot topic right now. Have they finally arrived? Is there a dip? Maybe has the gap been kind of shortened a little bit? Well, with a little bit of tribute to Lee Corso, not so fast, my friends, because Lena's going to have something to say about that until you knock the bully in the nose and punch him in the nose, and do something about that. Lena's still the team to beat, but I think Stockton's really, really happy with where they're at. Brad obviously does a great job over at Camp Point, and be interesting to see kind of what happens over there. Teams like Carrollton, Hardin, Calhoun, someone will come out of there out of nowhere and be a team in 1A or 2A that we haven't talked about.
kind of nice to hear Galena mentioned. We haven't talked about Galena in a few years here. It looks like they're hopefully on their way back, which is nice to see.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go through our friends at 8-Man. We need to find a new friend in 8-Man this year, I think.
Yeah.
We'll work on
that. I talked to Jason Kirby today, and he's in one of those eroding population pockets, and he has a coach by the name of Jim Unruh that kind of helps him occasionally. If you do not know who Jim Unruh is, he won a gazillion state championships at Carthage and Illini Central, or Illini West, excuse me. And I asked Jason just flat out, like, I know your summer approach is different how you go about it, and he goes, well, I'm the principal, and I don't want them to get too weirded out by me. And I think sometimes they need a little distance. And he's like, I just want them to be super excited about football. So, it's going to be interesting. Now, can somebody go toe to toe with the juggernaut at Amboy and punch them in the mouth and push them off the block? I don't know who that's going to be, but there's 30 teams this year. We had a couple of additions and a couple of subtractions, and I think 8-Man's as healthy as it's ever been.
Not a huge surge though. Seems like things maybe settled in a little bit here.
Well, yeah, I mean, and two guys, we just run a little podcast here, and we've been fortunate enough to talk to people that have went from 11-man to 8-man, and now those two guys have gone back to 11-man. So Pat Elder is no longer at Ridgewood; he's at Bureau Valley. So Bureau Valley had a week 0 scrimmage against Erie Prophetstown, the home of Brett Bielema. I have not really heard anything on that, but Pat will continue to run the wing tee and do the things. And Jim Morrow, who was out South Beloit, is now back at McChesney Park, Harlem. They had a little transition there, and they needed someone. And Jim, a great English teacher, very quiet disposition, but
huge
Tesla attack. He's as sharp
not
as
the car
attack.
fan.
What's that?
I said huge Tesla fan, not the car.
He's a great rocker. He's a great rocker.
No.
He sent me a video. He was in Barcelona, Spain, and he goes, look at this. I can't tell you what he called me. He's like, listen here, mother blanker. And he sent me a video, and guess who pops out in Barcelona, Spain?
Tesla.
Guns and freaking Roses with Slash.
Nice. There you go. Nice. Yeah.
But he's back in the Nick 10, and so he likes his team. And so I'd like to get those guys and talk about that transition once again from 8-man now back to 11-man, and what's that like. So,
who saw him coach last year? I did. I
there
went
you
and
go.
saw him. Good times.
Yeah.
All right, Fred. Let's talk about 1A. We didn't really get to it, but I'll get to it now. No shocker, Amboy #1 ranked according to NUSC football.
8-man. You're talking 8-man, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sorry. 8-man football, Amboy at 1, Milledgeville at 2, Polo at 3, Pawnee at 4, Ridgewood at 5, St. Anne at 6, Martinsville 7, West Carroll at 8, St. Thomas More at 9, and West Central number 10. Anything else to add there?
Well, I mean, I think Polo with Ted Alston will be interesting. They're always good. They always put up a fight. I think Martinsville kind of came out of nowhere the last 2 years. A small school, and Roman is kind of small. Macon Meridian is a new team you might want to watch out for. I'm trying to think of another team down there. I think a lot of teams, are going to be fun to watch. St. Thomas More has a new coach, so that'll be interesting to see what they do there. Can a team like Blue Ridge kind of pop out of nowhere and win some games? These are all small schools that are going to have between 25 and 35 kids. Unless you're Amboy, you got 45, 50 kids. But it's going to be interesting to see kind of what goes on. We have an even number of 30 teams out in 8-man. They have a good thing going. Like we've kind of called it, Tim, the Wild Wild West. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And right now, it's really humming along pretty good.
Yeah, no doubt, which is great to see. And again, we will dig into it. We definitely will have different coaches on this year. A couple of the old coaches, some of the newer coaches. Yeah, and love your feedback as well. I mean, obviously this is on YouTube. You can leave comments there. You can DM me or tag me and stuff and thoughts and anyone you want to see. We'd love to hear it. I'll
Yeah.
post it. We'll do whatever you guys want to see from us. And again, just looking forward to another good year. I'm glad the season's here. I'm definitely ready for some football. One thing I quickly want to do before we end up wrapping. I was absolutely honored and still shocked to this day. Back in late March, when I was awarded the Ray Elliott Award by the Coaches Association. What was cool about it, Matt, was the ceremony. I don't even know I talked to you about this. At the ceremony, I mean, obviously there was just a ton of tremendous coaches that went in that class. Fortunately, was able to know some of those guys and some of the families already. But Matt, I had so many small school coaches come up and say, "Hey, I just want to introduce myself and say, thankful for what you and Matt, the show that you guys do. I watch it a lot, and you guys have fun and you love doing it, and just keep it going." And man, these are guys I didn't know at all, and just to make you feel so warm and so welcome and part of that, man, it was a tremendous feeling. And just again, you have a lot to do with that as well. So it was, to this day, it still blows me away. Here, you want to see the plaque? I get the plaque over here. I haven't put it up yet, but I am in the process of it. But Matt, they were really cool. And again, just you don't do it for these kind of things.
Yes.
I don't, and never have. But I'm not gonna lie, man. It was amazing, and just kind of blew me away. And I think it was a good day for my family and friends, and had a lot of supporters there, people that I work with, and so. And again, the small school coaches. I mean, that was icing on the cake. Just people I had never met before, just coming up and saying some great things. And I know you had a lot to do with that too, sir. So
well, and I unfortunately had to be at a different place at a different time with my kid, and I couldn't be there. But I sent you a card, and I was your biggest fan. And I'll just say this, it's like when you do get recognized by your peers and by coaches and players, it's really cool. For me. Amazing. For me, my life has changed a little bit. That's fine. But still to this day, every year at the state final, I do get acknowledged. And that's nice to get the data boy from guys up in the booth. But when you go down in the field and it's right before kickoff and you have a coach says something to you, "Hey, man, keep up the good work. Hey, that's really – you have no idea who you're talking to." Yeah. But they like listening to you because – we try to give them as much information as we can and try to cover everybody. And so we're doing this because we love the sport, we love kids, and we love the IHSA and just this whole arena that we're able to cover in this platform. So it's just a lot of fun. But for you, congratulations, because you deserve it. And
awesome.
I'm proud of you. I really am proud of you.
Thanks. Yeah, it's just amazing for my family because, like I said, I mean, they put up with me for all these years, starting with my wife, Denise, and my two kids, Mike and Shannon, and they were all there, and it was special. There was no doubt. Yeah. It was great.
You deserve it. Yeah, you deserve it. There was
go ahead.
No, what I was going to say too, and this is for another topic, but like right now, I know I'm a huge college football fan, and I like the stories. The other night I was watching SEC Storied, and they had a documentary on the wishbone and how
that was great. Yeah,
how it was created, and and I love watching all that stuff. And I know down here in Champaign, Illinois, people are really excited about college football right now. And so now one of the things that I've done over the last month is I've asked coaches nonchalantly, the guys that I know, the guys that I text, like, do you think it's having an impact on coaches and players and kids? Are they getting more excited? And I get it, and I've gotten a mixed result from that. For the coaches, they're very excited because they feel like something that they had once lost is now back, and that they're very proud of that. That we're keeping kids in our state. They're playing for us, but Illinois is a weird state because you can just fly into Chicago and kind of go anywhere you want. And so we're not going to always have all the greatest names and the best kids in the state come to Illinois, but there's a lot of pride going on right now. But one of the things I did ask, I was like, do you think kids are pumped up? And respectfully, that was kind of split down the middle. And I think what it shows and what it proves is that, kids are more interested in kind of watching the game on TikTok or on Instagram versus or Sports Center top 10 than they are just watching the game. I mean, it's they don't have quite the connection, and that's for another topic down the road. But I know for now, like there's nothing to do too much in Champaign-Urbana. Friday night's gonna be bonkers, and you just kind of want to know, like, what's it like to have a good football team? I mean, you got a guy in Brett Bielema that's doing everything correct, and probably one of the greatest evaluators of assistant coaches we've ever seen because he's done a good job. And so it'll be interesting to see how that goes and how that has an impact down the road with people.
No doubt. All right. I think that's going to do it. There's no way we're going over an hour in episode 1, so it's just not going to happen.
I was pushing it, man. I'm looking at that button right there. I was like, he's not going to cut me off. Yeah, he will. He will, folks.
Yeah. No, that'll do it. All right. So for Matt, I'm Edgy. Thanks, everybody. We'll be back next Wednesday. So Wednesday's going to be the day, in case you're wondering. So we're generally going to record this. And obviously, things can change. And, Matt's got stuff going on. I got stuff going on. But generally, I think we found a nice time here.
Yeah.
So expect these usually out probably Wednesday night, definitely by early Thursday at the latest.
Yeah, and we may have a guest or two next Wednesday, but we won't spoil.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll give you a heads up ahead of time who our guests are going to be. So, all right, I think that's going to do it. So for Matt and Meggie, thanks everybody. Thanks for watching. We'll be back next week. And hey, get your butt off the couch and go watch a game. Okay. See you.
Bet.